We begin today in Davos. President Volodymyr Zelensky has delivered a stark warning to European leaders amid the ongoing war with Russia. This comes as the United States, Ukraine and Russia head to Abu Dhabi for their first trilateral talks. Opening his speech with a reference to the film Groundhog Day, Zelensky said Europe and the wider world keep repeating the same debates year after year without taking decisive steps on the Ukraine war. He said the continent is stuck in a loop of talk without action.
Just last year, here in Davos, I ended my speech with the words, "Europe needs to know how to defend itself." A year has passed and nothing has changed. We are still in a situation where I must say the same words, but why? The answer is not just about the threats that exist or may appear. Each year brings something new for Europe and for the world.
While Zelensky accused European leaders of waiting for direction from President Donald Trump rather than taking decisive steps on their own. Zelensky warned that the EU should not let European capitals become little Moscows. He described this as Greenland mode, a reference to the recent diplomatic standoff and debates over Greenland that has consumed Western leaders. Zelensky said Europe remains too dependent on an unpredictable White House and has failed to show the leadership needed to confront Russia. He warned that simply waiting for Washington to act is a dangerous strategy. Zelensky further added Europe's distraction with issues like Greenland risks taking attention away from Russia's offensive in Eastern Europe. He argued that the threat from Russia is existential for NATO.
Europe needs united armed forces that can truly defend Europe. Today, Europe relies only on the belief that if danger comes, NATO will act. But no one has really seen the alliance in action. If Putin decides to take Lithuania or strike Poland, who will respond? Who will respond? Right now, NATO exists thanks to belief that the United States will act, that it will not stand aside and will help. But what if it doesn't?
And the Ukrainian president also called for stronger action against Russia's fleet of oil tankers, which he said helps finance the war. He warned that sanctions remain too easy for Moscow to bypass, allowing Russia to continue producing missiles and weapons at scale.
Everyone sees how Russia tries to freeze Ukrainians. Now, our people, Ukrainians to death at minus 20 degrees Celsius. But Russia couldn't build any ballistic or cruise missiles without critical components from other countries. And it's not just China. Europe says almost nothing. America says nothing. And Putin makes missiles.
And while Zelensky was speaking in Davos, French Navy intercepted a Russian oil tanker that was suspected to be part of Moscow's shadow fleet. Now, Zelensky's speech came hours after a meeting with President Trump, which both sides described as constructive but inconclusive. Trump said there is still a long way to go to end the war. Trump's envoys, Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner, later met Russian President Vladimir Putin in Moscow, calling the talks a possible step towards a deal. In a major diplomatic development, the United States, Ukraine and Russia are heading to Abu Dhabi for their first trilateral talks since Moscow launched its full-scale invasion of Ukraine in 2022. Moscow has demanded that Ukraine give up claims to territory and abandon its ambitions to join NATO, conditions that Kyiv has rejected.
Most importantly, during these talks between our president and the Americans, it was once again confirmed that without resolving the territorial issue according to the formula agreed upon in Anchorage, there is no hope of achieving a long-term settlement. We, as Vladimir Putin emphasized, are sincerely interested in resolving the Ukrainian crisis through political and diplomatic means. Until this is achieved, Russia will continue to consistently pursue the objectives set for the special military operation, specifically on the battlefield, where the Russian armed forces hold the strategic initiative.
Meanwhile, Zelensky insists that any deal must include compromises from Russia and credible security guarantees for Ukraine. As Zelensky leaves Davos, his warning to Europe lingers. Will the continent continue to wait for the US to lead, or will it move from words to actions as the war on its borders grinds on?
The world doesn't fit in boxes, so why should your news? From battlefields to negotiation tables, from internet outrage to real-world injustice. The conversations everyone is having and the ones they're avoiding. It's the same show, but this new year, Firstpost America gets a new look. I'm Kerry Johnston, and this is Firstpost America.